Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 535th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Brad Sugars back on the show. This is, it's been 2.5 years. He was on episode 381. He's the founder of Action Coach, franchises all over the world. He lives in Vegas now. So it was great catching up since COVID, right? I've had several guests on as return guests to see what has changed and what hasn't. We talk about how our prospects have now gotten lazy. How do you differentiate yourself? I recommend you go back and check out episode 381. We talked about his first book, which is a beast in a good way. Pulling profits out of a hat, adding zeros to your company isn't magic. Today we're talking about 90 days to revolutionize your life. And you can make quick changes. Doesn't have to be long, drawn out. You know, I had Erin Field on, talked about her radical change, how she helps people make very quick changes. I've been working with this Christian men's business group. We do a 2.5-day event, but we're together over 40 hours in those 3.5 days and make big changes. I'm rolling out a new Power Day, kind of like an implementation accelerator, but even more compact. A full day of us working together to find your voice, find your message out of the clutter, right? Find the signal through the noise. I think most of us try to do too much. A friend of mine I just saw on Facebook this morning talking about how many words she has typed in the last few months. And it was over 1 million. Because she's working on 3 books simultaneously. It's like, finish one and launch it. Let's say just for shits and giggles, it takes 1 month to write a book. If you write 3 at a time, then it's 3 months before even the first one is published, and then all 3 are published. Well, people can't read 3 books. They read one at a time. So now they're overwhelmed. Now they don't know which one to get. Maybe they buy all 3. So good for you, right? But then how do you get them to consume the content? It's not enough to make the sale. People have to use your stuff and benefit from it and comment on it and send their friends and family. So let's go back. Let's say it takes you a month. So why not bang out 1 book? Boom, release it. So now in the second month, you release a second book. So now on day 90, when you release the third book, you've already had 1 out there for 60 days. The second one is out there for 30. And let's say it takes people a month to read the book. So, all right. Now within 120 days, people have read all of your books. Now they're consuming it. Now they're getting some benefits. So this applies to everything. We've just got too many things going on. We wear our busyness as a badge of honor. And I think it's killing us. So I'm working on some things to help with that, streamlining the programs I offer. You're going to be seeing that here in 2022 because results are all that matter. And people are just trying to do too many things. I see people launch podcasts and they don't stick with it. They say they're going to write a book. They never finish. They say they're going to get a new job. They never make that change. They say they're going to hit their quota. They just don't do it. Because you've got too many irons in the fire. You're not focused. As a result, you're not happy. You beat yourself up. You self-medicate with whatever, food, drugs, alcohol, sex. It's just this reinforcing, self-fulfilling prophecy. You're just circling the drain. It's not good. So let's change that, shall we? If you want to talk about it, hit me up, thesaleswhisperer.com. Go to the Contact Us. You get a link to my calendar. And it's a free call, free one-on-one. See what's going on, how I can help. If I can't help you, I'll steer you onto somebody that can. Okay? So hit me up if that'll help. And then I've got all my programs there. Like I said, I'll be streamlining them, but I'll honor whatever you get into now as I merge some of the programs. You'll actually benefit. You can get in at a lower price as I merge the things. I'll raise the price. So take me up on that. All right. make 2022 your year. And by listening to this episode with Brad, that's going to help you do just that. So let's get on with the show. Brad Sugar's face, fresh off of your ice cream serving Halloween party.
Sales success happens. You give it away for free and provide a haunted house, and you get lots of patrons. Amazing how that happens.
You get a lot of kids for Halloween, huh? So welcome back to the Sales Podcast. How the heck have you been?
Been real well. You know, it's business during the pandemic was tough for a lot of people, but for us as business coaches, it made sure we had to help them out. And that's sort of, you know, we spent that whole time just helping as many people stay in business as we could and get the results they needed. Be that the ones that were stuck trying to hire people because they were booming, or the ones that were stuck because they were shut down. I know of my 9 companies during the pandemic, we had 2 shut down, 2 restaurants we just couldn't trade. And the 2 of them boomed, like my commercial cleaning business was booming. And we had to learn how to hire and train virtually. So, you know, lots of good things happening, but, you know, still keeping it out there, helping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Are you seeing having problems finding people? Because I keep hearing that more and more. And you see signs everywhere at restaurant, you know, Starbucks only doing drive-throughs, and the restaurants like, hey, you know, be gentle with our people. You know, at least they showed up for work.
Yeah. Look, I know our restaurants and our food service, we have a food truck catering business. We have all of those, you know, they're all struggling to get good people. They really are. But it's making everyone sit down and think about, well, okay, how can we systematize this better? How can we do this in a way that reduces the number of hours? Or how can we automate a lot of this sort of stuff? Or how can we take this from a chef and give it to a line cook? How can we, you know, you just got to downscale some of these things or automate and upskill. I mean, that's what we're going to be seeing for quite a while. I don't see this as getting easier to get people in the near future. People were like, oh, well, as soon as they stop paying people to not work, they're going to do it. No, the great resignation is happening. People are going into business for themselves or working as contractors. They don't want to go back to an office. They don't want to go back to a place. They want to work from home. They've renovated their home during pandemic, every single one of them. And, you know, but we're also seeing the challenges of not being able to get things, you know, ships sitting offshore because governments have changed the rules and said, no, you know, only truckers that work for large companies are allowed on the port now. And so we can't get stuff off the port. And we're going to see some challenges. And that's what comes with a boom economy. With a boom economy, you have a lack of people, you have a lack of resources, and real estate's bouncing, and we're going to see some inflation coming. That's going to be an interesting one.
Would you describe this as a boom economy right now?
Yeah. Absolutely. You look at what real estate's doing. You look at where this Bitcoin, so, you know, when you take all of the investment portfolios out there and you go the stock market, you go the electronic market, be it NFTs or Bitcoin or any other currency online, you take the real estate market, the investment cycle is on the way up, which inflation is going to put an end to that at some point. We're guessing in the next 2 to 3 years. But when you're throwing, I guess, $4 trillion into the US economy, another couple of trillion around the world put back into the economy. And during this pandemic, we saw about 1/3 of businesses have absolute record sales, 1/3 of businesses pivot to stay in business, and about 1/3 of businesses suffer. So you're sitting there looking at it and saying, okay, when Amazon is doing the numbers they predicted they would be doing in 2027 in 2020, and this year they haven't come out with their numbers yet, but you got to see, dang, we've got a lot of economy doing. You know, when you got Amazon now employing over 1 million people, 1 in every 153 people in the country works for Amazon. Holy dang. We got some money moving out there. We got some trucks. You can't buy a truck because Amazon's buying them all. You can't get. And this is just the way the world is sitting right now. We've got a lot of people out there. Our savings as a country is a record savings because of the fact everyone was given a bunch of money. And, you know, at the end of the pandemic, there's an extra 1.9 trillion in savings because people didn't spend money. When you don't know what's going on, you don't spend money. And that's why sales had to take an entirely different tangent during the pandemic. You're either speed sale and make it dang easy for people to buy because they wanted it urgent, or you had to slow down and give people enough time to earn the trust and that they couldn't get because you weren't face to face. So lots of things changed.
Well, it did change, and trying to make heads or tails out of it with, because, you say on the one hand, it's a boom economy, but then people saved money because they didn't spend money. So how do we have a boom economy without people spending money?
Because that money gets invested. So when you've got that money, you're going to invest it somewhere. You're going to place that money somewhere. Now people are starting to spend it. They're buying new homes. They're buying new furniture. They're redoing their gardens. They're redoing, everything of that nature. But the savings came from things like, vacations not happening. And now you look at the vacation rate of the average citizen today, everyone's getting on airplanes. There's not an airplane sitting empty anywhere type thing, except for Southwest because they canceled them all the other day. But, that's a whole other story.
Southwest was full. I was on them a week and a half ago. They were full. Yeah. Now I just saw American Airlines cancel like 1,900 flights. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's the inability to get people is going to impact that, because the knock-on effect of not having pilots, not having staff to manage these planes not moved, the knock-on effect is massive. You cancel 200 flights, well, you got to cancel another 400 because you canceled those 200 type thing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see the impact of all of these things happening out there. But, and it also means for us as employers, we're going to have to up our game with our staff if you want to keep them, because they're going to get paid a lot more to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And so what are you telling your clients now? Because you work primarily with like the SMB space, right?
Yep. What we're telling them is the same things that, handle your business well, handle your management, handle your leadership well. When it looks to management, about creating competent, productive employees. When you look to leadership, create passionate, focused employees from that side of it. When it comes to your marketing, your marketing can go back to the way it was. You had to get very much more sympathetic in your marketing during the pandemic. You had to have your message had to be one of, we're here to help, we're here to assist, we're here to help everyone get through this sort of thing, no matter what the business was. Even the jewelry businesses, you couldn't go out there and say, hey, buy a Rolex so you look fancy. You had to say, hey, we know times are tough and you've still got to buy presents for people. So if you're looking for something, come and, we'll help you find the perfect gift type thing. So where we're back, we're moving back into that phase of, opening up. And obviously different countries are opening up at different rates, and different countries are doing things, and even different states are doing things at different rates. So you've got to be very locally minded in a lot of what you're doing right now. But flip that over. You can now be very globally minded in how you sell, where you sell, and where you recruit. So before this pandemic, there were some companies that used globalization as a way to employ people across the world. Today, so many companies learned how to go virtual. You don't even, when you run an ad for a position now, it doesn't need to be in your town. It doesn't need to be in your city. It can be anywhere in the world. I know one of my companies, one of the managers was just telling me that they employed 2 marketing assistants. One was in Poland and one was in, I think, Israel. And you sit there and you go, dang, well, that just made life a lot easier. You can get people anywhere in the world right now. But you can also sell anywhere in the world right now, Wes. You take a look at where we're selling today. People used to want to buy from the store down the road. Now they're willing to buy from anywhere in the world, as long as they're getting a good service and shipping speed is good and all those sorts of things. So, I think it's opened up a mass level of opportunity for us if we're willing to take it.
You hear all this, people, they try to be so compassionate, right? Oh, buy local, the big boxes are winning, but then they're still hopping on Amazon or beating up the local guy over 18 cents. It's like, are people just fickle creatures?
Well, buddy, that's a real interesting debate, and I'm not sure I'm an expert on that side of the things. I guess my own personal thinking is that we go with what's easy. The shopper is always going to go with what's easy, and I know for me personally, I'll see something advertised, and if I've got to go and enter all my details and do all that sort of stuff versus grab the Amazon app, click on it, there it is, send. I've clicked 3 things rather than 14 things. And that is really what's happening out there. We're seeing the ease of purchase becoming higher and higher priority for people.
Well, that should always be the case. I talk to clients all the time, and I'm like, make it easy to buy, right? Like accept PayPal, accept American Express. Like, oh, their fees are too high. I'm like, then raise your prices.
Yeah.
You know,
add that extra 2% to your price point and accept the 2% fee, for goodness sake. Like Shopify, companies that have the Shopify website right now, any customer that shopped on any Shopify site in the world is already registered with Shopify. So if you're a small business and you use their platform, every customer has a one-click purchase system. You know, it's like enter your email, boom, there's your code, shop, purchase, done. You know, it's so simple. I think it's simpler than PayPal. I think PayPal's got a little bit to learn from Shopify about how to do things. But
yeah,
look, the ease of purchase thing, during COVID, customers got lazier and lazier. You know, because we and people that would never have signed up to Amazon before did. People that would never have shopped online before did. And so you built this mass extra customer base online that's now trained by Amazon. Amazon is training our customers around the world to expect one click, one day. Like, and a lot of small businesses are struggling with that. And so what we teach the small businesses is to look at, well, where's your uniqueness? What is your differentiator? How do you make it an experience of buying from you that's different? Because in this Instagram style world, if you don't give me something that's different, if you don't give me an experience level, like one of my clients in New Zealand runs and I said to him, well, where do people take Instagram photos at your vineyard when they come and visit? He said, well, we don't really have anyone. So great. Get your team together and come up with 6 sites on there and put a little sign that says Instagram spot number 1. And they've got massive bottles of wine that people can hold up and take photos. And then they've got a view of the vineyards with a frame. And do you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to give people the ability to promote you if you want to be promotable. And I see too many small businesses where they're not looking for that free promotion. They're not giving people the opportunity. In one of our restaurants, we literally had a photographer come in and teach all of our waiters how to take photographs. We literally had a technology guy come in and show them the top 10 cameras on the top 10 phones so they could all do that. And now it's policy. When you get your drinks, when they drop the first round of drinks, by the way, whose camera am I going to use to take a photo of you all? That's the line. By the way, whose camera am I going to use to take a photo of you? It's scripted. It works 100% of the time. Now, who do you know is going to give you their camera? The guy or the gal that is the social media person at the table is going to do it. And they're going to post it and tag it and do all that sort of stuff, and free advertising.
Yeah, it's amazing how few entrepreneurs understand. I mean, it's like, well, I sell $100 widget and I sell it for $100. They should be thrilled. No.
It used to be that way. But then again, you know, when you had the baby boomer generation, all you had to do to get them to do the work is say, hey, do this. And they were trained to think for themselves. They grew up as farmers, or they grew up making things, manufacturing. So they knew how to think. We've trained kids no longer how to think. We've trained them. Like my generation, I'm 50 now. So my generation was the first generation not to fix everything. Got a hole in your sock, throw it out, get a new one. Don't darn it. You know, my mom and dad's generation, they fixed everything. Like we were the first holy gene generation type thing. The next generation didn't even learn how to fix things. No shop class, none of that sort of stuff. It's just, do you remember Wes buying a drill when it was $400? Do you remember you had to go and get a $400 drill? Now you get a $20 drill. If it breaks, you throw it out and go and buy a new one. You don't even go and buy a new one. You jump on Amazon and you have a new one delivered within a few hours or within the next day type thing. So the way that people buy is different. The way that people think is different. And even now today, when I look at people trying to get employees and I just ask them, well, what's the mission of your company? What's the purpose behind your business? And they're all to make money. And I'm like, well, okay. Don't expect the millennial generation or anyone younger than that to want to work for you then. If you don't stand for something now and you're not doing some community-based attributes, like this was the latest book that went bestseller pulling profits out of a hat, and we talk about the 5 disciplines. And one of the disciplines is that of mission. And mission is really about the word love. Do your people love coming to work, and do your customers love buying from you? If there's no love of what you do, like my franchise partners in Action Coach, I talk to any of them about helping business owners, and they light up because they love helping people succeed. I talk to our customers in that business, and they love what we do because we help them work less and make more and cut their stress down. They love it. And if your business doesn't have that love factor these days, you're not going to get the free social media. You're not going to get the staff coming to work. You're not going to get the staff referring their friends to come work for you. Because that's in all, if you want great employees, they're going to be related to or connected to the existing employees or the existing customers in your business. And if you want referrals for great employees, they got to love being there in the beginning. So make sure that's the way we think, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my 19-year-old daughter just went through that. She was at a big chain restaurant. She's in San Diego State right now, and it was a mess. But I told her, just go get a job. The easiest way to find a job is to have a job.
Yes.
Right. And so she's waitressing, and a couple comes in that one was a bartender, one was a server at another popular chain, but at a better location. My daughter, where San Diego State is kind of on the border of a more blue collar town, right? Mm-hmm. So not a great clientele, and she's right in the middle. So same distance, go farther out of town or go closer to San Diego. And so she's talking with this couple, just chatting, and it just comes up. She's like, I'm really struggling, I just started school down here. And they're like, oh, come work at our restaurant. And she's in. Yeah. Right. Because it's who you know. And it's so funny you mentioned that. So she started working at a Mexican restaurant here, just 2 or 3 miles from home. She ended up getting her younger sister on as a hostess, got her friend on as a hostess, got her cousin on as a hostess. Now her aunt is on as a server. My family works hard, man. And they like the management loves them. They give us discounts when we come in. They're like, oh, thank you for your daughters. Thank you for your aunts. So
it's one of the things if you're a business owner and you don't see your humans as a resource, like your people are either your greatest strength or your greatest weakness. And it all comes down to how you build them, how you build. My job as the owner of a business is to build my people, because they build my business. I don't build my business. I build my people. They build my business. And I've always seen it that way. When we sit back as business owners and we build the humans, we train them, we educate them, we coach them, we mentor them, we manage, we lead, they run our business better. I mean, how you treat your people is how they treat your customers. So you got to keep that whole concept in mind of being a great people person. I believe the key to great business is taking care of great people. And that's one of the other 5 disciplines as well.
Yeah. Why do people not know that?
Because they're technicians. What is your job? You're a restaurant owner. What did you learn to be? A chef. In most cases, you didn't learn to manage people. You didn't learn to, and like take a doctor, for example. Why are doctors so bad? Their business is generally so bad because they're doctors. They see themselves as doctors first and business people second. They need a business person running the operation. They need to hire a manager to run the entire operation. And you see that when you see a medical business where they have real managers running the business and the doctors can be doctors and so on, it splits it up. And so a lot of the time what my teaching does is I teach people to be better business owners. How do you become an actual owner of the business? Because where do you learn that stuff? You learn to be a locksmith. You don't learn to manage people. You don't learn marketing and sales. You go to locksmith, you become an apprentice, and that's what you learn. So, but I feel for a lot of the business people out there because they aren't taught this stuff. They're just never taught it.
Well, it's the E-myth, huh?
Yeah, Gerber had a great concept way back then. And it's a very clear concept of, people go into business because they want to buy themselves a job. And then they quickly realize that they've bought themselves a trap. And, ultimately I go back to my definition of a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. If you have to work in it, you're both you're both the CEO and the owner, and you do an awful job at both. If you're the CEO and the owner, you lie to yourself all day, every day. As CEO, you tell the owner, oh, I did a great job today. And the owner looks at you and says, yes, you did. Congratulations. If you employ someone else to be CEO of your business, you're a lot tougher on them than if it's just you being that. And that's why I guess my coaching works, is because, we take on the role of helping our business owners become better business owners, hold them accountable to growing the business. Because when you look at a corporation versus a small business, the corporate side of it, they have a board, they have shareholders that demand growth and demand performance. Small business, there's no one demanding growth and performance. All there is a demand to pay the bills. And as long as the bills are paid, everyone seems to be doing okay. And that's not the way it's not a healthy business to go into it with a goal of paying the bills.
Yeah. So you mentioned something right when we opened, you probably didn't even realize it, but you had such a diversity of businesses that you mentioned. How does someone know when it's time to go wide versus deep?
I look at business, and you've got to determine, are you going into business as an investor or are you going into business as an operator? And so for me as an investor, I invest in a lot of different businesses because I'm viewing it from an investment standpoint, not an internal business standpoint. So I'll find a great business that I think should be either national or global, and they might have one location. And I'll give you an example. I was down in Texas a few years back, and in Houston, I found this great property management company. And these two guys didn't even realize how good their business was. It was kind of like when Ray Kroc found McDonald's. And I come into these guys and I go, this is just amazing. This should be everywhere in the country. And so I sat them down and started to educate. I bought a share of the company. I sat them down, started to educate them and say, listen, how do you guys take this across the whole of Texas? And they're like, well, I don't know. And we planned it out. Here's how many offices you'd need to open. Here's what that will cost. And we went through the whole thing. We opened up across Texas, and we were going to open the whole country, but a company out of Silicon Valley came along and purchased us. So it was like, well, we're happy to sell at them multiples. Thank you very much. Have a good day. So those sorts of things is really if you're an operator, probably better to stay within your operation arena. If you're an investor, you can look at any different side of it. But even being an investor, you still got to pick a niche. I think investors that don't have a set of rules of what they will and won't buy, just buy anything. And if they don't have a niche, then they get out of it. Like for me in business, my niche is anything that I can license or franchise on a global basis. I love licensing. I love franchising. They're things I'm both very healthy, very good at. And so I try and stick within that realm of saying, okay, this is what I want to buy. So when I'm looking at an opportunity, that's very clearly on the list of our rules for myself and my team, what we invest in and what we don't.
How does that conversation go when you run across these two guys and they're like, what, us? Buy us? I mean, on the one hand, I could see people maybe being scared and not negotiating. On the other hand, if they start Googling you, they're going, yeah, we want 10 times more. I mean, how do you?
Yeah, there's a balancing act of that equation where they go, okay, well, he's got money, he can pay us a lot, and versus, hang on. And so what I have the conversation with them is about, well, listen, you can get money from anywhere. The question is, are you going to get assistance? Who's going to help you grow this thing? Who's going to be the one that'll actually help you achieve those end results? And that's usually where the conversation turns to okay, let's be reasonable. Let's make a good deal. And if it's a good deal for everyone, then, I'm not buying the whole company. I'm taking a position in the company to get it to a point where it is sold as a whole company to someone else. I'm just having a conversation in a couple of weeks. A guy I met by being his customer. And I was like, dang, this is a great product. He's in the meat business, and this is a great product, and it's an amazingly good brand. How do you take this thing and make it into that? And we had a few conversations, and he said, I want to fly out and sit with you and let's have a discussion. So a lot of the times, and for me, it's like even investing in the stock market, one of the things I look to is, what are my kids doing? What are my kids buying? Having 5 kids, there's always something where one of them's doing something, and you sit back and you go, what? what's this new thing you're using? When all the kids were on TikTok, like even Zoom. Like I remember when Zoom, someone came to me at a conference when we were in Bali, guy I trust very well. He said, yeah, we've started using this new platform, Zoom. It's way better than all the other. And I sat down, I looked at it. My thing about investing is look at stuff that's taking off and go, yeah, we can get in on that. That'd be great. Where can we invest? What can we invest in? All those sorts of things are just discussions that happen time and time again. So yeah, building a great business, building a great life, and investing so that you don't have to keep working at some point. Those things are, stuff we have to learn. Life, you get born, you don't get a manual, you get a mother, and my mom and dad, as great as they were as parents, they didn't know how to handle the money to, build serious wealth. So I had to go and learn that from a mentor. So, that's where it all came from.
I remember, so my oldest is 24, and it was probably 8 years ago. Like I would call him, like he'd never answer his phone. And I'm like, why the hell do you have a phone if you're not going to answer it? And he just looked at me, just straight deadpan. He's like, for the apps?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I Snapchat everyone, Dad.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I should pay attention to apps.
It's so, people get overcomplicated in a lot of investment. I'm a long-term investor guy. I just look at what things are doing and follow the trend. The old trend is your friend is something I think I learned in the first ever class on investing I took. And you sit back and you watch the trend. Like I just look at real estate right now and everyone's going, wow, look at what real estate is doing. Yes, look at what real estate's doing. It sat dormant for like 6 years. It had to boom at some point. And of course it's booming because the exodus of New Yorkers and Californians is vast. So they're bringing their money to Nevada and Oregon and Utah. Good. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it.
Yeah. And, I'm in Southern California, but we're away from the big cities and we just exploded because LA, San Diego were just prisons. But as I watch the news, it's like, I think it was a $1.8 billion development, still continued.
Oh, yeah.
Unhindered in LA. I'm like, in my mind, right? I'm like, I don't want to be in that city anyway. And so I really don't want to be now. But like, oh yeah, they're going to plunk down $2 billion. So it's not going to be.
People got to keep moving there. You got to remember that the business side of California, when you look at California, it's really two things. It's technology and movies. I mean, they're your two industry segments that drive that part of the country. I mean, we go way back in history economically. We go back to the turn of the century previous, where we were in the agrarian age, and the agrarian age was won by the English because they took up the most land around the world. Then you went into the industrial age. The first half of the industrial age, America won that. Then the Japanese took over and won the second half because America was good at inventing everything. And then the Japanese worked out how to manufacture everything. Moved back into the information age, and California is why America leads. There's no two ways about that. There's, you got two industries, because while the Japanese were great at making DVD players, America made all the movies to go in the DVD players. So, they got paid one time to make a movie. America got to put a movie on in their VCR or in their DVD player. America got paid all the other times. But you sit back and you start looking at the value that's created from those companies across the world. It's phenomenal, phenomenal. But now we're seeing a shift again. I mean, with China and India and Russia and all these countries really coming, and Latin America and Africa coming online through the agrarian and industrial age. You got so much infrastructure being built that they're, that's why you go to the India, one of the richest men in the world now, because he's in steel in India, because the infrastructure build is just phenomenal for, 1 point whatever billion people now. So it's we're in such great economic times for opportunity. There's so much opportunity right now. The transference of wealth is just massive if people are doing the right thing and learning the right stuff. But so many people won't do the learning work, Wes, and I don't grasp that. It's like, if anyone, this is your first podcast with Wes, you've got to actually sign up for these things, subscribe, because the knowledge that you get will position you for the next thing. And the learning work is the hardest work. There's no two ways about it. The reading of the books, the watching the podcasts, the listening, all of that work is hard, because you got to change your thinking and grow your brain. And people often misunderstand the fact that you have to grow into your goals. If you want a goal of X, then you got to grow into that. You can't achieve your goal based on your current knowledge base. I remember at 16 thinking it was all unfair, because I went and saw Jim Rohn speak at 16 years of age in the Brisbane City Town Hall. I walk out and I think, you know what? I can retire early. I can retire by 25. And I told my friends this, and my friend told his dad, and his dad sat us down and told me there's no possible way you can retire at 25. Now, what he didn't know is that I was willing to grow. I was willing to learn. I was willing to do whatever it took to become the person that could do that. Oh, and he was correct. Me at 16 could not do that. But the person I would become could do all of those things and more. Mm-hmm. So I think as we know that, as we learn to grow into our goals, we become better people. Jim Rohn said it way back then: never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. So we get better, life gets easier. Sales, business, marketing, anything.
You mentioned earlier about the trend is your friend. How do you know what the trend is? Like if you look at cryptocurrency, right? Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I remember I was bummed when I was set to buy it when it was at 10K. Mm-hmm. I didn't have all my stuff set up, and it popped all the way to 14. I'm like literally in a week. I said, man, I just missed a 40% run up. I'm like, maybe its time has passed. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna buy some. And I bought some. And it went up and it went up and it went up. And it hit an all-time high. And then it collapsed like 50%. So, and now it hit another all-time high. So if you're not in it for a long time to kind of have a feel for the fundamentals, how do you know what the trend is? Because eventually, nothing grows to the sky, right? Eventually it all comes crashing down. But the old adage, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you know if this is a correction and I should buy the dip, or I should run away because I'm trying to catch a falling knife?
Well, I want to say two things to that. Number one, only invest where you've become an expert. Only invest where you actually know what you're doing. I see too many people, they call themselves investing and they're not. They're playing the Kenny Rogers game. They got the gambler playing in the background and they think, okay, I'll just take a shot at this. Everyone seems to say that Bitcoin. Listen, invest 2 weeks, read every dang article on Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Go back and read everything you can about it and understand it. I was looking at investing in NFTs, and I found my buddy who's a big investor in NFTs. He's probably one of the top 5 or 10 holders of NFTs on the planet. And I said, can you teach me for a day what you're doing? And so I sat down with him for a day. And what I learned in a day is that it's going to take me a month to learn this subject. All I learned was how little I actually knew about this subject. And if I really wanted to invest in it, then I was going to need to spend a month. Because I said, how did you learn all this? My friend is literally one of those guys who will stay up all night and just read every single little detail. And that's why he's a genius at it, because previously he invented casino games and stuff. And why? Because he studied them to the nth degree. And too many people think they're investors, but they're not. They don't do the research to become an investor. They take a gut shot. They take a chance on something. The second thing I'll say is that usually when things are in a place because of the questions being asked. Are we too high? When I start hearing the questions of, is real estate too high? Is real estate getting to the end? Is it getting to the end? Now, we're not hearing that questions right now. A year from now, we're going to start hearing the questions about real estate booming. Are we at the end of the boom? Are we seeing the end of the boom? Now, when we start hearing those questions, we know it's turned. Or, Wes, I'll give you the anecdotal way to know when the real estate market or when any market's about to boom. When your Uber driver starts telling you about the 7 properties they just purchased, you're done at that point, all right? You're out. It's when they start offering 100% mortgages, run. When you see 100% mortgages being offered, because all that's going to happen from there is you're going to get the greed buyers will push it up, and then it'll fall back to that point. So, in my books, there's scientific data, but there's also anecdotal data of watching. If your brother-in-law becomes a property developer, it's probably time to move on out. Most people, like the stock market, most people, you don't see Warren Buffett going into the stock market when it's got 10% of the market left in it. You see Warren Buffett buying when it's at the low. Everyone's sold. It's been down for 9 months. Warren Buffett starts buying.
So funny talking about the Uber drivers. So I learned that before there was Uber. When we moved here to
Taxi
California.
drivers.
Yeah, we moved out here, and it was booming, and I was renting because our Denny's waitress was literally telling us about how many homes she owned.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this is not good, people. I'm like, this is going to be bad. It's California real estate. It always goes up. I'm like, fool, this is going to collapse. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine, an attorney. I'm like, dude, this is going to drop 50%. No way. 10%, maybe 20. I mean, it dropped 50%. I bought at the bottom. Yep. And I was like, I rented for 6 years waiting for it. It was like, people, this is bad.
I remember because here in Las Vegas, it was the same. You had waitresses telling you that they owned 14 properties. I'm like, how did you get 14 properties? I just signed the documents.
Yeah, nurses, 5 properties. I knew a nurse with 5 interest-only homes. I'm like, what are you going to do? She said, I said, well, what finance?
How is that going to work? Well, it's on an arm. What's an arm? She said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like run away from that market.
Yeah. Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. Patience is a virtue for investing. It really is. You've got to have patience on the way up, and you got to have patience on the way down. And, the cycle effect of the markets, and in my 30X Wealth, I do a whole segment on the cycle of the market. I spend a half an hour taking people through what does the cycle of the market look like. And, that 7 to 10 year cycle is very easy and very predictable. I know I've run my businesses now through 4 cycles, and I see inflation's going to be probably the next cycle killer, but we'll see what happens. There's always something. Like even in 2018, 2019, the Trump effect was booming everything. And I still sat down in 2019 with my key people and I said, listen, I just don't see it running much longer. 2012 to 2019, that's a long time. What's going to tip it though? And we were debating, was it going to be Brexit? Was it going to be Korea? Was it going to be China? Was it going to be the US election? What was going to tip the thing? None of us predicted a pandemic being the thing, and that's the whole point. You can't predict what will turn an economy, but you can predict that an economy will turn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So you've got a program, right? 90 days to revolutionize your life.
Yeah. I think if you can change your thinking, you can change your life. In fact, I don't just think you can. You have to change your thinking in order to change your life. So I sat down when the pandemic, actually, when I hit 50, it's an interesting one, Wes. I hit 50 and I thought, you know what? I need to get down, not just on book, but I need to get everything I can teach about business down. So I did 30 minutes a day for 30 days on business. And then I did 30 minutes a day for 30 days on all of the life principles, all of the success formulas that there are out there that I've spent decades learning. And then I did 30 minutes a day for 30 days on wealth and how to actually invest and become wealthy. And so you take all 3 of those programs over 90 days. If someone will do that, it will revolutionize their thinking, and therefore they can revolutionize their life. It just has to be done that way. You can't change with the current thinking. You've got to get a good mentor.
Right. So where do people go for that?
We'll give them the link right there, and it's very simple to find, or they can dive on bradsugars.com and click through from there. But ultimately, they can find me on any form of social media, even on Pinterest, getting crafty these days, But ultimately, Wes, you've been doing this for many years of helping people change the way they think about things and get them the knowledge and interviewing the right people so that they can move forward. So that's my thinking. If I can change someone's thinking, then I can change the way their life pans out.
Yeah. Amen. Get out of that stinking thinking, huh?
Dang, who was that? Who had that statement? Was that Charlie Tremendous Jones way back when?
It could have been, or Zig Ziglar. I know they kind of interact and overlap a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of the greatest mentors back then. And I was lucky enough to meet guys like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and Tommy Hopkins and those people. And I think it was just, I think the greatest thing for me was at 16, someone introduced me to, I was actually the Rotary Club. I won the Rotary Youth Leadership Award, and they put me on a week-long training about success and leadership. And it was like, just by getting me into that learning, it changed the course of my life.
Yeah. Crazy, huh? And people, they don't pay it enough, give it enough respect. I think people, they don't realize, the old adage, small hinges swing big doors, right? They don't know, like, all these little things add up and just get you off track. And you got to dial it in, man, and be very intentional. So yeah, we'll be linking to this in the show notes, 90 Days to Revolutionize Your Life. Mr. Brad Sugar. So, you were back. It was episode 381, man. So you were overdue. So, I'm glad your people found me.
It's good to be back. It's good to be on the call. One great thing, Wes, is every time I watch and listen to your events and your podcast, I keep seeing the same thing come through. And that is just straight up ask the right questions so people, I don't know what it is, but you just seem to have a knack of getting the answers out of people and getting the stuff out of them. So I appreciate that about you.
I want the truth. I can handle the truth. All right. Like I said, I may be coming to Vegas, so save some ice cream for me. I know you saved some. You threw in the freezer. I know. I want that soft serve, man. That's the good stuff.
Take care, buddy. I'll see you soon.
All right. Good to see you. The shopper is going to go with what's easy. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people, wouldn't accept American Express because the fees are too high. I'm like, raise your prices. Or PayPal. PayPal's been a pain in our ass for years. I still take it. If that's what people want to pay with, I'm going to make it easy to take their money. All right. Consumers are not loyal. We talked about, the great resignation is happening. So employees will leave you. Customers will leave you. People say, oh, yeah, buy America. But they don't. Oh, buy small. Hey, post your business here. It's Giving Tuesday. It's Cyber Monday. We're going to help small business. And they don't. Because everything's too expensive. Because our stupid government's too stupid and bloated and lazy and corrupt and greedy. We have stupid laws. We have stupid regulations. All that raises prices. So, it is what it is. For me to buy a jiu-jitsu gi from Origin, it's minimum $150. I'll spend upwards of $300. I can buy one from Pakistan, a knockoff, for $50. Want to buy their boots? $350, $400. A good pair of Red Wings, or maybe $200. You want to buy their jeans, their work jeans, they're really good, $198. But it's truly 100% made in America. So, but people, they're not loyal, okay? So you just need to understand that. So now, again, what are you doing to build your value? How are you unique? What makes you different? Very few people can answer that question. Very few. And even fewer are those who they can answer the question as the founder or the leader of the company, but their staff can't. How many of your employees can really state your mission, your value proposition? Why are you different? And that's the problem. We make these esoteric, platitudes, these good sounding things that look good on a board, in the company break room or on your website or the back of a business card, but you're not living it. So what are you doing to stand out? What are you doing to enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect? What are you doing to build in the way of progress? Skate to where the puck is going. What are you doing in your business? Where are the customers going? Are you building your business to be in the way so they literally trip over you, have to notice you, and buy from you? If you struggle with that, let's talk. That's what I'm good at helping you figure out. Then I can help you write about it, and I can help you automate it if you want to do that. But at a minimum, you've got to know why people should do business with you. It's got to roll off your tongue. It's got to be accurate. It's got to be compelling. It's got to be memorable. Then you got to push it down to your people. Okay? Stop being a victim. Stop accepting what comes your way. Stop accepting what the government throws at you. People forget. Maybe they never knew. How we got founded. Right? It's for freedom. People forget. Right? We will paddle across a frozen river on Christmas Eve to shoot you in the face to win. Where has that gone? You better find it, because the government's not done. They're literally wrapping up Australians, gathering them up and bringing them to internment camps, swabbing their noses. Oh, I'm fully vaccinated. Well, define fully vaccinated. Is that your third, fourth shot, fifth shot? Is it for the Delta, the Omicron, the Z, the Lambda, the Delta? I mean, whatever. You better read some George Washington. You better read about some Boston Tea Parties. People forget. It's like it took like a couple of years of skirmishes and fighting before the revolution really took hold, right? And then it was years of fighting. Then it was years to resolve things and elect Washington as president. And it was hard. So, like Brad said, if our customers want it easy, I bet you want it easy too. And I'm sorry. It may not be easy. It may not be easy for you to shift course, make a little course correction. It'll be easy once you do it. Once you warm up to it, once you become accustomed to it, once you start to succeed from it. I'm heading to jiu-jitsu right now. It was hard getting started. It's still hard. Everybody that I started with, we all grow at about the same pace. So I have the same struggles with those guys. But rolling last night, some new guys come in, young guys, big, strong dudes, tee them up with no problem. So you can't compare yourself against your peers. You can't compare yourself against your idols. You compare yourself against yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you better today than when you started? If so, then congratulations. Stay the course. Pour some fire on it. Go a little faster. Go a little harder. All right? That's what I'll help you do. Get some help. Stop doing this alone, whatever this is. One of the guys in our Make Every Sale community just started his dream job Monday. I've worked with him for over a year. Huge pay increase, helped him negotiate, helped him with the interview process. You can start at any time building the life that you want. But you got to decide. You got to be sick and tired of the mediocre results that you're getting. And I can't do that for you. But if you're ready, hit me up, okay? thesaleswhisperer.com. Go to the Contact Us and we'll talk. Now go sell something.